Hello everyone, welcome to Chasing a Murderer. Before we get started, make sure that you push like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. So we are on part 95 of Life Beyond the Grave, which is attached to the Lori Vallow case or the Doomsday Mom. And where we left off last series was the fact that Charles, he was telling Lori that he was packing up the house in Arizona and was heading for Houston, Texas. Kay Woodcock would end up ultimately going to Arizona to help Charles pack. And then Lori starts communicating with Charles at some point in between here and when he moves to Houston, Texas. Why? We believe that it might be she ran out of money. Charles' life has been threatened multiple times by Lori, threatened to murder him. And Kay and Larry, well, they felt like Charles needed to take this a little bit more seriously. They were expressing a huge concern for his safety. And they felt that Charles, he just wasn't expressing huge concern. But Kay and Larry suggested that Charles carry a weapon to protect himself. Kay expressed that they were hearing rumors and other things that made them feel like Charles' life was on the line. Now, I'm not certain exactly where this would fit in, so we're just sticking it in here because it's going to be in between the time he moves to Houston and the time he moves back to Arizona for a brief period before his life is threatened. So as we approach the end of March of 2019, Serena's getting kind of like the side eye from Lori around this time. Zombies are starting to spread globally. And several people that surround Chad and Lori or affiliated with the groups they're affiliated with believe that Rexburg is the place to move to. And in fact, Serena is going to move to Rexburg somewhere in this timeline right here. Interestingly, she meets up with Chad once in a while looking at property or houses in the area. Serena says her husband finds a house there eventually. So the fact that Serena is interested in moving to the Rexburg area tells me there's a chance that most likely what Chad was teaching at these conferences could be true. At least for her. So as far as what I can tell, Serena's still in with this group of people, at least at this timeline. But Lori's starting to kind of give her the side eye. She actually does a few Preparing a People podcasts with a few people. What podcast is it? Well, it's Time to Warrior Up 16, Serena, number 2. What can be one of our most powerful weapons? So that'll be around April of 2019. So we're going to hop back and forth a little bit here. So Serena is jumping into this podcast networking. So this explains maybe, why Lori didn't like her so much later on. Let's see. So right here it says March 29th. It's a Friday of 2019. She does number 15 of Time to Warrior Up. Serena with the Preparing a People Arizona team. So who is over the Arizona team? Well, Melenie Gibb is one of those people. So the same time that Serena's moving her way up into this Preparing a People group is the same time that Lori's going to claim that there's things going on as well as Chad with Serena. And it's only going to get worse daily from here. So let's also mention the fact that Julie Rowe, she's in St. George doing a energy class on March 30th, 2019, I believe. So around this time, Lori Vallow is she's recording her prophecies, her testimony, and that everything she's doing in her daily life now is because of what her Heavenly Father tells her. This would come from one of the articles from East Idaho News. According to investigators, it's around this time that Lori Vallow is trying to be a little bit more careful about writing anything in emails or communicating in a way that it would be documented, like through text. And when they first started searching, in fact, they said it didn't appear that Lori is communicating with anyone using text messages. However, they would find out that she had text content on iCloud. Many of her discussions would be either in person or through the phone. Now, let me share something that just recently come through News Nation. It was around May 4th of 2023, where Jill Kimmel claims that she was a friend to Alex Cox. This would be Jimmy Kimmel's sister. This is on News Nation, so anyways, I wanted to share a clip of that. And if you want to catch the entire interview, you can do that at News Nation. So who does Jill Kimmel say that Alex Cox was? How does she meet him?
You know, Alex and I did comedy together in Phoenix, Arizona, and that's how we met. You know, you meet doing comedy, it's like great, right? Everyone's fun and funny and happy and sharing their talents and getting to know each other, and this is nothing I would ever in a million years have dreamed of. He was just a good guy, and he was funny, and the one day he called me and said, hey, do you know where I can get a piece? And I said, a piece of what? And he said, a piece, like a gun. And I said, why are you asking that? Because I'm Italian? You know, I just thought he's joking around. Sister's kid had been being abused by his sister's ex. And they lived in Texas, and he was going to get a gun. And I was like, are you going to kill the guy? He said, no, I'm just going to go there, I'm going to scare him, and I'm going to pistol whip him.
But Alex himself had to go to prison for using a stun gun and assaulting Joe Ryan. So just quickly, Jill, as you hear this evidence piling up against Alex, it is becoming painfully obvious that he was involved in the murders of these children, and maybe Tammy, don't know, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty clear that he definitely had something to do with it, if not definitely did it. But there's no way in the world that he would have done anything like that unless it was at the behest of his sister. I mean, he asked me, whoever, to get him a gun or help him. Where is it? You know, he didn't care that it was illegal because he's asking someone, not just going to his store. He goes to Texas. He ends up tasing the guy instead of pistol whipping him. But he was willing to do that and went to jail and did not feel bad about it. He's like, yeah, he was abusing my niece. And he loved those kids. He was willing to put his own freedom on the line to protect them. And there's no way he would have hurt them unless he was brainwashed into it.
So as we hear from witnesses that talk about Alex in these times, in this part of the timeline, he's a funny guy. He's not the type of guy that they expect to want to hurt anyone, much less his own niece and nephew. And they believe the only reason that Alex could be getting into all this, a lot of people believe, not because Alex believes this so much, but Alex is supporting his sister. He's being brainwashed. He's being manipulated into playing this part in this timeline. So Alex Cox, in this part of the timeline, is being convinced more and more to believe that his sister is a prophet and that she's having an affair with another guy by the name of Chad Daybell, and they've been married in the past. But the truth for me, I felt like Alex wasn't good at saying no. I think he did not want his sister to feel crazy, and he was going to do whatever he needed to do for her to make her feel as if she wasn't crazy. And there'll be times you'll notice as we cover the story, Alex will talk to Lori and say, are you sure we can't change this, we can't do this? So Alex could have been brainwashed. We just don't know because Alex is no longer here. So we learned that Lori, she's going back and forth to different places, especially Hawaii. And the entire family notices that Lori just doesn't seem to care about her son, JJ, and accusing Charles of the one being the problem in this marriage and cheating on her. Brandon Boudreaux later explains, how he dealt with this situation at a trial for Lori Vallow.
And did there come a time during this period that you would see Lori in the late winter, early spring of 2019?
I didn't see Lori very much at all, but I did see Charles.
Okay. So how often would you see Charles?
He would bring JJ over to play a couple times. He had JJ. Lori wasn't with JJ at the time. I don't know where she went actually.
So Charles would come over to your house with JJ?
Yeah,
and so what would JJ do at the house?
He would play with Braxton and just kind of get a release on it. JJ was always very high energy. He had to lock everything up when he came so that he couldn't get out of the house or get himself into trouble. So it'd be kind of thorough. It was like having a really big kid that doesn't know how to make certain decisions yet. And so it was a lot of work when he'd come over, but you just loved him, so you did it. But so Braxton kind of always knew that his duty was to play with JJ and entertain him and keep him kind of busy, so that he would get into less trouble or get into less things.
Got it. And so did you spend time with Charles when JJ was there?
I did, yeah.
Okay. Let's fast forward to that summer. Did you have occasion to go to a trip or visit your wife's family in Utah?
Yeah, I did. So after meeting with Charles those couple times and kind of seeing him go through some painful process, as I promised Melanie, I kept asking him not to come over and doing my best to help him, but trying to create distance. And so we actually that summer went out and had an affinity towards Lori. She always kind of she looked at her kind of less like an aunt figure and almost more like a mom figure. She was always wanting to be like her.
Did you get along with Charles?
Yeah, really well. Charles and I both had a passion for sales and business, and connected well in that. And we just both loved our families, and so it was very easy for us to spend time together.
So it wasn't uncommon that the Boudreaux and the Vallows would get together and get along?
Yeah, we would. There was years where they lived by us, and we would usually see each other maybe once a month or more. And then there was times when they lived further away, but we would travel to each other's homes, stay in each other's homes when we went. And it wasn't uncommon to spend a week, or more at each other's homes.
Okay. Did you spend holidays together?
Yes.
Okay. What was the last Christmas that the Boudreaux and the Vallows spent together?
That would have been in 2018.
Okay. Was that a typical Christmas?
For
the two couples?
No, it was definitely different at that point. When you get really close with people, you kind of become comfortable and you let your guard down, and your body language is more relaxed and more comfortable, and it just, everything kind of, I don't know how to, it can be so fluid. You can see each other and pick right up where you left off. But everybody feels like they know everything about each other, almost like it's just, you're so, you know each other so well that it's like memory, if you will. But
now around this time as well, it's in the early spring that we first hear that Tylee is a zombie. And we had learned that Chad supposedly told Lori that Tylee had been a zombie for a very long time. And this is after Chad hears Lori complaining about how tired and overwhelmed she is. So this is a big clue as to why, she does what she does to the children as well, is the fact that she just feels so overwhelmed with these kids, especially JJ. And if you speak to school employees or Charles or Tylee or even friends, It's just starting to show how overwhelmed she is with JJ. But for many people following this case, they're still trying to figure out, does Lori truly believe in any of this stuff that she's teaching? And I would have to say for myself, I really don't think she believes in some of it. But of course, you will have to speak to Lori Vallow and her tell you the truth, which isn't going to happen, to know the truth of that. So where is all these talks of demons even coming from? Well, it's very difficult to know, simply because we know that demons are related to religion. But one person gives us a little bit of a clue, and that would be Heather Daybell, Chad Daybell's sister-in-law. According to Heather, she says that Chad's children seem to believe in all this stuff she calls nonsense. Heather shares a story on True Hidden Crime of a story when they first bought one of their first houses, which was a trailer home.
Is that they bought some trailer home pretty early on in their marriage, that they were going to bed one night and Chad could hear demons outside his window and said to Tammy, "Oh, I didn't dedicate this house. We haven't done that yet." So he dedicated the house with his priesthood and the demons were gone. That's a story I was told long ago.
So, he is into demons, it seems. And then you have Melenie Gibb that will talk about Melanie Boudreaux. I want to share that. That's from East Idaho News interview with Nate Eaton.
She was, she's fun. I really love Melanie. We did have a special relationship. She loved me and I loved her. And so she seemed that she had a lot of strife going on in her life. And she was really worried about her family. And so we had conversations about what was going on to some level. I mean, I wasn't as involved with their conversations as Lori and Melanie were, but as far as I went, we just were a support of, to each other, I think.
Would it be fair to say that you, Chad, Lori, Melanie, Alex, Zulema, you six were kind of a close group of friends, kind of a tight-knit family in a way?
Yes.
So you all...
So we've learned that Brandon Boudreaux believes that Melanie is totally infatuated with wanting to be like her Aunt Lori for some reason. And besides that, you have Charles. He's being cut off from all those people that were once in his life daily. So Charles begins recording Lori Vallow, the things that she's saying, and sharing it with the bishop of their church. And for him, one of the main sources for the problem, or causing the problem with Lori, is the temple. He believes that the temple is one of the sources that has changed her into what she has become. And he worked hard to get her temple recommend taken away. Charles truly believes that he could help Lori snap out of all this nonsense, but that's not going to be the case. And Lori starts deeming people in her family that are not doing what she asked, people that are going against her, basically her enemies. This would include her brother Adam, Charles, her husband, her nephew Zach, and soon Brandon Boudreaux. Charles continues to text friends and family, letting them know, how dramatically his wife has changed the last 6 months. But is that true, really? He says, well, it's the freakiest thing I've ever seen or experienced. She's with a group of people called Woke and Preparing a People. She tells people that I have an evil spirit named Nick Snyder. She wants to murder me. Because this demon inside of him is using Charles' body to violate her. In fact, this includes having intimate relationships, events between the two. And she will tell her friends a few times, this demon tricked me into having, nights with Charles. Lori predicts that Charles would die In a car accident while in Texas, or leaving Texas, Charles is supposed to die. This is according to visions that she had, most likely in the temple. And Lori and Chad are getting impatient about being together. At least Lori is. And we will learn that many of their visions of when they predict people are supposed to die, they don't happen. And they'll blame it on agency. Now, I have to imagine that Tylee Ryan, she's at what we would call the rebel stage, teenager. She's wanting to experience life, have adventures, and learn to prepare to be an adult. We are being told by witnesses that Tylee, she's given her mother a hard time. She's rebelling. She's cursing at her and claims that she has a mouth on her and she's not afraid to speak out. She is quick to say whether she likes somebody or doesn't like someone. So the only thing I actually started thinking about here, Tylee probably gives her mother problems about Chad Daybell. And she doesn't want to hear it. She doesn't want to deal with it. And she knows that her kids have oftentimes felt like they are the ringleaders of Lori. And this isn't going to make Lori very happy with Tylee, of course. So for me, I believe this would be one of the motives for Tylee becoming a zombie. Tylee can see what's happening, that her mother's cheating on her husband, Charles. She's taken all the money out of the bank, and now they're going broke. This must not make much sense for Tylee, and she must have to try to talk sense into her mother at times, only to find out if she does, she'll be deemed a zombie. So she's having to keep her mouth shut. And Tylee is hearing exactly what a zombie is to Lori. It's somebody that can be murdered. Lori's talking about murdering Charles. And a lot of people are trying to figure out, does Tylee know this? Well, I believe she does. I believe that Lori would use this against her own daughter, Tylee, in order to control her. And it's very sad, to be honest, what Tylee must be going through during this time. There's no stable life whatsoever now that Lori's gone and taken control of the household, the money, the children. There's no stability, and the children don't even matter. So very tough for Tylee. And this part was hard. I mean, it's got to be hard for that young lady. Because does she understand what her mother's capable of doing? Or doesn't she? A lot of people have tried to figure that out. And I think parts of her, they're aware of what her mother does. And then there's parts of her that are like, this is my mom, I love her. Denial. Share your thoughts below. Do you think Tylee knew what was going on? Do you believe that she was afraid of her mother? We're going to end it here. Thank you so much to our Patreons. We have a few Patreons, and they have been so helpful. Thank you to everyone who has been liking and subscribing and commenting. I love you guys, and I hope you're all doing well. And don't forget to share our missing girls' faces on your social media today. Children like Dulce. And go check out Mel Gibson's new movie on, the sex trafficking type things. I mean, this is real, guys, and it's a real problem, and I think we should be more aware about it. Love you guys, and I'll see you guys soon.